Hello everyone, Fast Eddie here, and this video is going to be about how to check and adjust your tire pressure and why it's important. The first thing to consider, in the book that I mentioned a bunch of times, Total Control by Lee Parks Edition 2, there's a whole lot of good stuff in this book, and the first chapter is all about traction. So if you come take a look, so the whole thing's about traction. You got tires, pressure. Here's a general street tire pressure guidelines based on the size of your front and rear tire. It gives you a good guideline if you're going by yourself. 2 up light, 2 up heavy, full dressing tour tires with reinforced construction, race day, racing, track days, advanced rider course, just subtract 4 to 6 pounds from above. Just gives you a lot of information. Temperature, compound, age of the tire, size of the tire, profile of the tire, all the different things of putting on a bigger or smaller tire depending on your rim, the tread. There's just a lot of good stuff, the whole entire chapter. But specifically for tire pressure. So one interesting thing about Lee Parks is not just he's a professional motorcycle racer, which he is, he also has the ability to explain things very well, way better than I ever could. So besides trying to mimic what he said, I'm just going to read a couple things about pressure and why this is so important. So there are several factors affecting the contact patch, the part of the tire that touches the ground, and ultimately traction. Tire pressure determines how much the tire will flatten out as it contacts the road. These pressures work, So it should be noted that tire pressure is a compromise. If you have a little less pressure than stock, your weight, when you jump on the bike, causes the tire to deflect a little bit more, giving you a bigger contact patch, but at the cost of some longevity. So if your tire pressure is too low, you're gonna wear your tire out faster. That's what it means. Conversely, a little more air pressure than stock caused the contact patch to shrink, which gives you better tire mileage, but at a cost of some of the tire's potential traction. Of course, either extreme of the tire can be dangerous, so it's important to know what your tire pressure should be and keep it within a few pounds of the recommended range. So that's summarizing or just skimming through 3 paragraphs, and there's an entire chapter on traction. So read through the book, has a lot of stuff. So tire pressure. First of all, on the tire, on every tire, it tells you a tire pressure on there. It says that's the max the tire needs to be. That is not the pressure of what to keep your tires at. That's just the max you could put into the tire before it starts to be unsafe. Where to find your tire pressure for your bike is in these 2 things. So here we go, 2016 KTM 390 Duke, 2016, here's the tire pressure, or here's the owner's manuals for both the bikes. So if you go on my bike, just flip to the part that says anything about tire pressure, and here we go. Tire pressure front, 36 or 2.5 bar, cold. So you don't have to check it or adjust it while the tire is warm, because obviously it heats up a couple pounds or whatever it is when you're out riding around. So I'm at the local DMV right now, and if you noticed, I'm in the big circle thing, which is required to ride in order to get your license. You do this little exercise, you take a test, you get your license, which is pretty crazy that people are out on the road just by doing a circle and take the test. And I want to actually make a video about how to do this. Anyways, so for my bike, in my owner's manual, the front tire, 36 cold, and in the rear, 42 cold. So obviously I'm gonna be actually checking and adjusting my pressure right now, and this place where I'm at right now is just a couple blocks from my house, so it would be stupid to ride for 40 minutes to go to some place and then check and adjust my tire pressure, because I'm not gonna know what it is accurately. So that's why it's best to check your tire pressure right away in the morning before you go ride. And I recommend to do this at least 2 times a week. Now, just like I mentioned in the book, let's say I'm bringing my bike to the track tomorrow. And I get to the track, say I tow the bike to the track, the tires are cold, I lower it down 4 to 6 pounds based on what is recommended here for the track. And then once the tires cool down the next day, then I would pump them back up to what it's supposed to be, because you're not gonna ride on with the tire pressure too low, right? It's gonna wear the tires out way too fast, and a bunch of other problems. So even if you're riding if you're riding quickly or aggressive or spirited riding out here on the twisty roads, whatever you're doing, I still keep my tire pressure exactly what's supposed to be in the owner's manual. Sometimes, most of the time, I put my tire pressure 40 or 38 in the front and 42 in the rear cold, a little bit more in the front, because since the way I ride and how I trail brake so much, I want actually a little bit more pressure in the front because of how much trail braking I do, and the weight goes forward when you're braking hard and turning. Either way, these tires that I have, there's so many things to talk about. The tires I have, I know they're dual compound tires, and I know what the pressure can do, and I know the limits of the tires because I tested the limits out on the track. For example, these tires are Michelin Pilot Road 4s. They're dual compound tires, so they have a medium compound in the middle and then soft compound on the sides. And with these tires, I've had this bike leaned over so far where my foot pegs, my shift lever, and my engine guard was scraping on the ground. And that was when the tire pressure was 38 and 42 tire pressure. So even with the tire pressure being that high, or what it's supposed to be, I was still able to lean the bike all the way over, did not slip, did not do anything, and had my engine case scraping on the ground. So I know the tires are good. So even if I'm going fast or aggressive out on the road, I'm riding around up to Julian or wherever I'm riding around to, there's no need to lower it down because I know the tires and my skill and my experience and everything else, you're good. So if you want to lower 2 or 3 pounds before you go riding the twisty roads, that's fine. Just make sure you pump them back up before Monday morning and you're just commuting back and forth to work. You're not going to leave your tire pressures low because you're just going to wear them out too fast. So keep the pressure where it's supposed to be in the owner's manual. On the KTM 390 Duke, tire pressure recommended for the bike is 29, 29. 29 in the front, 29 in the rear. So to make it easy, usually we just do 30, 30. So what type of riding she does, you're going riding around, if you go practice, going back and forth practicing, or going around the neighborhood or whatever else. But if we go to the track, or when I take the bike to the track, because this is my track bike, right? So whenever I go, if you look at the tires, it's really funny, I tell her this all the time, look at the size of the tires. People see her riding around like, holy crap, look how aggressive you are. You must be a freaking crazy rider. But if you come here, look in the back, same thing. All the way down to the edge of the tire, and they're all bubbling up and everything, because this is my track bike. So they look at her and like, damn, you're an aggressive rider. And she's like, yeah, you know, I'm pretty awesome. But so since this is my track bike, whenever I take this bike and I go to the track, I put 25, 25. So I usually keep it 30, 30. So I drop 5 pounds when I take this bike to the track because this is my track bike. I don't have any special tires, no slicks, no tire warmers, nothing. I just drop the tire pressure 5 pounds and I go out and I hit the track with it, and the tires do great. Everything is great. I've had this bike scraping foot pegs and everything else, engine guard and everything, and the tires still hold up. So just a little side note, this bike is completely stock except for the hand guards and the protection and everything that I put on the bike in case the bike tips over. But my skill is not good enough to outperform the tires or the bike. Right? If I was going to do anything to the bike, I would just put new suspension in here since it's not adjustable, and then I would be able to push harder because the bike is more capable. But either way, the bike as it is now, stock, I've been to the track 4 or 5 times total with this bike, I still am not at the limits of this bike. So when I see people riding around on like a huge bike, you can do whatever you want to do, but you're pretty much wasting the bike's time, right? So I'm maybe using 80-90% of this bike's potential, but I'm not good enough to take this bike to the full potential. I just have to get better. That's why I take courses, right? So 30-30 for this bike, 29-29 on the owner's manual, and remember, that's the recommended range, so I just put it, make it easy, 30-30. I don't know if it's just like an even number or whatever, but I'm 38-42. And I'm actually going to adjust the tire pressure. So, a couple things to keep in mind. Whenever you're adjusting the pressure, you obviously have to have a tire pressure gauge. So I mentioned this in another video, but I'll mention it again, just like it is in Lee Clark's book right here. So I met him a bunch of times and went to a bunch of his courses, and he actually gives you one of these things if you take one of his courses. But just like the tire pressure gauge right here, having an accurate tire gauge is like having manufactured by Lee Park's design, proper thing. This particular gauge is hand tested to be +1 or -1 pound. It has information reading the codes, blah, blah, blah. So here's the tire pressure gauge that I got when I took one of his courses, the Total Control Advanced Riding Clinic. Really good stuff, really good tire pressure. Tire pressure gauge. So you could buy one of these, not something like this that looks like this, for like, I don't know, 50 cents at AutoZone. But it's, I guess there's a spring inside that makes it actually accurate or not, and this one is just way better quality. So 30-30. We're gonna go adjust the pressure. I'll put 30-30. I don't know what they are now, so that's what I'm actually gonna do. There's a lot of things to consider when you're doing this, a lot of mistakes I made that hopefully by watching this video you're not gonna make. And I made the video before about where to put your helmet, And people are like, why is there a video about where to put your helmet? Don't people automatically know this? Well, obviously not. So if you're a brand new rider or just need a different perspective, this is the point. So first thing to consider, obviously I'm not at a gas station where there's actually a gauge somewhere. So if you ever go to a gas station to adjust your tire pressure, you could do that, but I don't ever do that anymore. So I used to go there and actually put in quarters, whatever else, but I realized if you just go ask the person in the gas station, they're just gonna turn on the air for you anyways. And I think there's some kind of law saying if you're on a motorcycle or whatever else, they have to turn on the air, like they can't charge you for air. But either way, I still see people feeding quarters into it. I'm like, stop, just go ask them to turn it on, they'll turn it on for you, no problem. And so since I don't go to gas stations anymore, I do what I'm about to show you right now. I just got a simple bicycle pump that fits the lever on here, and it pumps it up that way. Again, I'm not gonna be doing this to pump up an entire tire. That's gonna be ridiculous. I'm gonna be sitting there pumping forever. But just to adjust it 3 or 4 pounds or something like that is perfectly fine. I could do it at my house, adjust it right there, and there's no need to go anywhere or drive anywhere. And plus, if I have to drive to a gas station, the tire pressure might go up, and then when I'm adjusting it in the first place, it won't even be accurate. There's a couple things to keep in mind when you're doing the tire pressure gauge. So it has to be perfectly flat and even, and you push it down and make sure it's really hard and there's no air leaking out, and then take it off. And I always recommend doing it twice. I'll show you what I mean. So if you go at an angle, I'm just letting air out, and it's not going to be too accurate. But you got to push it down really hard and hold it, and then take it off. So nice and flat. It's not canked. It's not tilted. So nice and flat. Completely quiet. And you take it off, and I never do the first one. I always do it twice. All the way down, it's quiet, take it off. So you got 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. And we want to get up to 30. So we got 6 pounds to go. So simple enough. Take this off, put this bad boy on there, lock it in, and you pump it up. Of course, I don't actually know how many pumps it takes, because everything's different, but then just repeat. So that says 31. And sometimes, like this tire pressure actually has a gauge on here, but I don't find this to be too accurate. Maybe some of them are if you have like a really good expensive one, like $100 or something, I don't know. I think I got this from some bicycle shop for 30 bucks or whatever, but. Do it again, about 31. And then the back of it has a little thing right here if you want to push down to kind of let it out the air. You do that. Bam, 30. There you go. Easy enough. And these tire pressure caps that my girlfriend has on the bike, so this says 28 and it's green, but if it actually gets too low, it actually turn red or yellow, and it's just a visual reminder of maybe you need to do something with tire pressure. But I don't use these at all because I do this at least twice a week, if not more. But if you want to use these things for like a guide, great. It's just another tool you can use. Again, any one of my videos, just like this one, if you have a totally different way of doing it, that's perfectly fine. This is just one way to do it. Then you go to the rear and do the same thing. So if you come over here on this side, so one thing you have a common problem with if you have a bike that doesn't have a center stand, like when you see me do my bike, whenever you stop the bike, you might have to roll the bike forward or backwards to actually make sure the tire pressure gauge is actually accessible. Like if I rolled the bike forward a foot and the actual gauge is down here behind the frame or behind the chain or whatever, I can't get in there. So obviously you're gonna have to turn it to where it is. Then make sure again it's flat. So if the back is weird, you might have to go in like this, because this is just gonna be tilted. I'm not gonna get an accurate reading. See, I'm just letting air out. I can't get it flat. So you have to make sure it's actually flat again. Goes completely quiet, take it off. I don't read the first one. So that 26. Put it in there, lock it in, pump it up. About 28 or so. Bam, 30. So there we are, 30. And I guess it depends on the bike, the type of riding, the condition, how old the tires are, the weather, etc., of how fast tire pressure is lost just for normal riding or wear and tear or whatever else. But either way, if you're just always checking and adjusting your tire pressure at least twice a week, you should be good. So for my bike, so I have a whole lot of spokes and a bunch of stuff going on, but because I have a center stand, why would I not use it? I use what I have, right? If you don't have it, and most bikes are just like this, where you're just gonna have to roll the bike forward or backwards and do whatever you need to do. But when I bought this bike, I'm gonna use for whatever's capable of. So I put on the center stand. I come around. Just what I do to do and eject. Come to this side. So the bike is on the center stand, so I can just lift it up. Tire pressure gauge. This is kind of finicky. Again, it's really angled, so it's not going to work out too well, so I have to actually put it inside like this. Goes completely flat. Remember, make sure it's all nice and even. And once you push it down nice and hard one time, make sure it's perfectly quiet and there's no air coming out. So I'm at 36.5. Like I said, I like to keep my front tire at 38 in the front, so I'll put a couple more. I'll put a couple pumps in. And again, if you keep this in mind of what I just read in Lee Park's book, let's say I go for a road trip tomorrow to San Francisco. I'm gonna be going on the highway for a long time. I'll probably put like 40 in the front and 42 in the rear. So I'm not gonna be doing any high-speed cornering. I'm just going on a straight road up the highway all the way up to where I'm going. So I'll put a little bit more tire pressure in. You just gotta experiment with it, right? .38. But if you're going and you're riding around, and you're like, well, I like the grip of what my tire feels like because I have a sport bike and I have Dunlop Q3 tires. Awesome, great tires. I had those on all my sport bikes. If Dunlop made Q3 tires for this bike, I would buy Q3s for the rest of my life. So when I had the Q3s, I put the same tire pressure, 36 in the front, 42 in the rear, whatever it was. When I went to the track with that bike, then I put 32, 32, because that's what Dunlop recommends with no tire warmers or anything else. 32, 32 cold. And the track, it worked out perfectly fine. And I just pumped them back up, and I went through 3 or 4 track days and riding around the street, and the tires lasted that long. But I hear people saying, oh, these tires are horrible. They only last me 2,000 miles. Yeah, because you're riding around at 30, 30, like you're at a racetrack or something. That's ridiculous. Pump the tires up and keep them where they're supposed to be, and the tires last a whole lot longer. This tire is already at, I think, 16,000 miles to keep the pressure where it's supposed to be. This is my second rear tire to my one front tire. So they'll last a while. I don't know about you, but I don't have $500, which is what it cost me to replace the tires, dispose of the tires through the dealership, pay someone to do it, because I don't know how to do any of this stuff. So it cost me like $500 for a new set of tires. Unless you have $500 sitting around every couple months to buy new tires, do whatever you want to do. But if you keep the tire pressure where it's supposed to be, it should be good. So again, I have a center stand, so it makes it a whole lot easier. I just put the bike in neutral. So one of the only times I actually put my bike as neutral is right here, just to only do this. Just like I mentioned before, I usually never put my bike in neutral. But if I'm doing something like this, why not? Again, make sure it's nice and flat, it's not tilted, because that's not accurate. I'm just letting air out, and it's not going to be an accurate reading. Push it on hard, total silence, and then take it off. One shot, bam. So I'm at 35, 36, 37, 38, I'm at 39. So a little bit low. Throw some air in there. .41, .42. Perfecto. Again, I highly recommend doing this at least twice a week. And most people, if I go out with them, and if I don't know who they are, if I do know who they are, if I haven't seen them in a while, and we meet up at a parking lot somewhere, and we're about to go for a ride, I'm like, hey, when was the last time you checked your tire pressure? Oh man, it's been like a month. Hey, let's check it real quick. And we're at a gas station. We've been there for like a half hour, so the tires are cooling down maybe a little bit. I check them, they're like at 24 and 30. And he's on that bike. I'm like, dude, let's adjust this stuff. Even if they are a little bit warm, you need to keep the pressure up to where it's supposed to be. So there's a lot a problem. You keep it too low, your weight causes the contact patch, the part of the tire that touches the ground, to deflect, just like I said in the book, and it gets bigger. Now you have a big old huge piece of rubber on the ground. That's just a lot more rubber to turn. The bike's gonna feel really smushy and hard to turn. It's gonna wear the tire out faster. It's just a lot of problems. Keep the tire pressure where it's supposed to be. Again, when I go to the racetrack on this bike, 34, 38, something like that. Maybe if I'm like really doing technical stuff or I'm actually pushing myself harder, 32 at the lowest, 34, maybe. Like, keep the pressure where it's supposed to be. This is a big old myth I see so many people. Like, oh, you gotta put the tire pressure 20/20 or some ridiculous crap. They're just gonna wear the tire out. It's just gonna cause more problems than good. Keep the tire pressure. So there you go. If you don't know what it is, make sure you look in your owner's manual for that tire. So if you go to Google right now and type in BMW 1200 GS tire recommendations or something like that, these tires are recommended for this bike specifically. So because of that, and when they test the bikes and they put in the owner's manual the recommended pressure, it's what they test the bike at when they do all their 0-60 times and everything else to put in Car Driver or whatever magazine to actually test the bike before they go sell it. So if they're putting and testing the bike at 36/42, it's probably for a reason, to keep it within that range. That's why I go 38/42. But if you're riding, oh, my tire on the side, it says 42, so I'm gonna keep 42 all the time. You don't understand, that's the max load the tire needs to be at. You're not gonna put this tire pressure at 50. That's what it means. Don't go beyond that. But you have to be very careful because everybody has an opinion, but not many people actually know what they're talking about. So if you hear a bunch of people on sport bikes, the same bike you have, with the same tires, like, well, I ride around at 30/30 all the time on a sport bike and I'm good to go. Okay, that's fine, but I could ride around at 38/42 on the exact same bike with the exact same tires, go just as quick as what you're doing if you're out just riding around, but my tires last 5.5 months and your tires last 2. So, right, I highly recommend it. Do what the owner's manual says. So I'm pretty sure that's it. Did I forget anything? Get yourself one of these so you don't waste your time going to the gas station and everything else. Get yourself a tire pressure gauge. And like I mentioned in the book by Total Control, the book by Lee Parks called Total Control, just 1 or 2 paragraphs I talked about pressure, but it's an entire chapter about traction and everything to do with tires. There's like 9 different sections all about tires alone. A lot of stuff to learn. So again, get yourself out there and study. If you want to learn and understand way more about what I just talked about, again, everything I just said is only about 30% of what he said. So get to it. Again, shut up and practice. If you want to support me on Patreon or anything else, or if you want to have me post up a picture of you on my Instagram, just email me a picture of yourself out riding or whatever else. I'll post it up. Order a t-shirt if you want to. If not, shut up and practice. Get to it. All right, everybody, hope you learned something. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.